there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and welcome to another video of mine outside in nature. It was another lovely hiking day for us in the mountain valley, and we went to this spring, the water spring. It looks like kind of like a tiny waterfall, really beautiful. So this week was full of nature discoveries and retreats and everything. So I want to talk about being human in the new, because this is a perfect example of how to merge our human desires with our higher self presence, so that our human self and our path in the physical is more aligned with our higher self, but at the same time, you know, we're not practicing how to be more angelic. Well, this is what we already know in spirit. We're practicing how to have all those soul attributes and essences embodied in the physical. And as we step into this conscious merge of our human divine self, one, you know, no longer separate, just one. So one thing really important here to address before I start talking more about this is that one aspect that I'm noticing is a lot of people who, let's say, mention a lot about ascension and spirituality in general, don't really consciously tune into the reality that a lot of us are tuning into already as Ascension pioneers, because when you shift in your vibration, you just naturally align yourself with a different kind of lifestyle. It's not that it's about what's more spiritual, what's less spiritual. There's no separation, remember. It's just a different experience. And as you're tuning to these different versions of your reality. So let's say somebody says, I went out partying because I'm experiencing bliss and happiness and I like to dance and, you know, get everything out of my system. And a lot of us wouldn't even reference that as having fun anymore, you know. I remember somebody told me a while ago, and please don't forget to have fun, you know, don't forget to have more fun. And I was thinking, but their definition of fun and my definition of fun are no longer the same, because we're tuning into different experiences. So as your vibration rises, what you want to do is, you're not really, it's a natural call. It's not, like I say, it's not like more spiritual, less spiritual. You know, somebody who goes out to the cinemas or shopping or all these kind of things, that they're less spiritual. It's not about that. It's just that they're tuning into different sets of realities. So when you tune into your higher vibration flow, you naturally see that you're not drawn to the same circumstances and experiences, so you're becoming a new human being prototype, so to say. I was talking about this before a lot, and you're just naturally called to a different lifestyle. So I noticed that a lot of people who still talk about these things, their lifestyles don't necessarily match this yet, because their embodiment isn't necessarily aligned with what they know and in their mental awakening. So the heart awakening is always about knowing that the path of ascension is wanting to be in a lighter form. So when you go to the cinema or partying, you know, or go out dancing in the club, in this new reality that you feel different from within, you also want the outer to match with that. So as much as I remember a few years back when I was young and, you know, there was a different past life experience for me as how I feel it now. And I think, would that still even be fun for me to dress up and go out and party and dance? It really wouldn't, because at the same time I would get out into the crowds, which has a lot of the dense and negative patterns. Everybody brings them along and they're drinking and smoking and all of that. So we're not guided towards that, and that's not fun for us. So for me to have fun, and somebody tells me, well, you got to have more fun. I have fun every day. I go out into nature every day. I find new hiking trails. I find new nature spots, and I sing, and it's just a different reality. I can't explain this. It's not, I'm more spiritual than somebody who still goes out and parties. It's not a separation. Remember, it's just when your soul naturally climbs through the path of soul evolution and through expansion, that always takes place from within to without, you'll be naturally drawn to different circumstances, and you will see how your life has altered, how many things just no longer interest you. And to be human in the new, you know, those of us who are choosing not to just to know of this, but to consciously, really, it's natural for us, this calling, to be one, to be in nature, to be in an environment that is pure, to be around water. I constantly need to be around water. You know, either mountain rivers or waterfalls or lakes, we have everything here. And to be human in the new, it's all about this. And one more aspect that's really important to understand here is that when you raise your vibration, it becomes really important that you're not hiding aspects of you they're not laying dormant. You reveal them. So sometimes in this human reality, we all have days that we feel more emotional and it feels more challenging to us. But it's really important at that time to not just say, you judge yourself from a perspective of because your higher angelic self never judges you. It knows that you're just aligning with a certain frequency at this time, but maybe it's just temporal. It's just momentarily, so you can experience something and you can see whether you still resonate with that choice or not. So this is all. But if you're coming at it from a place of judgment and you think everything is too overwhelming and you can't cope with everything, sometimes it's just too much inner work even. And at those times, it's really important to allow yourself to be human, to let go. And that's not the same as, well, I'm just going to be human, I'm going to go out and party, I'm going to smoke and drink. It's not the same. That's not really how your soul unwinds, how your soul relaxes. I would really recommend, when you feel too overwhelmed or stressed even, when you experience that because you kind of created it for yourself, to just know that you have a choice at that time to embrace your humanness at this time. But then again, when you embrace it, see what's maybe another choice you can take so it can be more balanced, so it can be more in flow. Like these beautiful mountains, I hope you can see them in the back because we still have some snow leftovers from the avalanches. They come in the winter, and in the spring they all go down into the valley, and it takes a while for it to melt. So you see kind of like the snow, it's still there, it's there, we're embracing it, but it's slowly dissolving, it's slowly melting in its natural cycle. So when we really embrace our humanness, this doesn't mean that we embrace our lower dimensional states, it means that we embrace our higher dimensional states. But if something still feels that it's within the old, we don't just either be passive and say, well, that's just how I am, I party and drink, or we just say, we're too hard on ourselves, always judging ourselves if we feel down at a certain moment, if we feel like life just seems too much, or there's too much shifting, there's too much change. A lot of people now, they're coping with so many changes and they don't always know how to approach this. So there's people like me and many others who share that there's an alternate version, that you always have a choice, and the choice will always be yours to make. So for me, being human in the new means a natural flow of changes that will be entering your life because you made a soul agreement, you made a soul decision to become this way, to evolve and expand into this next state of your experiences. And this cannot come forced. Many people who awaken for the first time, they want to force others, you should do this way, you shouldn't do that, for you to be more in this frequency, this and this and this you should do. And you can't do that because everybody needs to feel when it's the right time for them. What you can do is share from your heart. And this means sharing through love. When you're going to be doing that and just controlling others, you're really not going to be doing from a higher perspective and oneness. And understanding that maybe their journey will take a different path, a different road. It all leads to one, which is unity inside. And everybody will get there when they're ready in their natural course of expansion in their soul. But it's really important that at some times when this happens, when things feel overwhelming or too much, we need to find a way to settle down in ourselves, find a way to quiet the mind, because the mind sometimes can be too, and at that time, the consciousness that created challenges or problems or whatever you perceive it, although there's no problem. There's just a perspective of problem, but there's never problems. There's just opportunities for growth and expansion. But that same state of awareness that created that can't solve it. It can receive new guidance and insight. So it feels too much. You just need to find a way to unwind, and whatever that does it for you. And I wouldn't really recommend going to crowded places and when there's a lot of dense energies. People who really work within the aspect of light. That doesn't mean, light and dark versus, good and evil. I'm talking about people who focus on the conscious path of light, which is awareness, which is illumination, which is wisdom. They know that they need to consciously work with that choice. They need to be in alignment and integrity with that choice. So when you make a choice to be more in a natural state of your soul and the flow of who you are in truth, then you'll be taking those decisions. And sometimes you're not aware of what is to come next. So if it feels too burdensome, or there's too many things coming at you, is how you perceive at that time, you need to find a way to find that balance point once again. So being human in the new, it's all about consciously working with that. And it's a constant path of you know, you find something, you feel out of balance, like an elastic, you keep stretching it and it comes back to center and you stretch it again. And this is how we breathe in, breathe out, expand, contract, and it's a natural part of the process. And it really is important that you don't judge yourself, because being human in the new means embracing all that we feel. A lot of people who awaken for the first time, they tell others, you're not supposed to feel negative emotions, you know, because you should only feel positive emotions. And they don't understand that this is a battle of light and dark, once again, in terms of duality. When I talk about a conscious choice of walking the path of light, I'm not talking about you just think positive thoughts. I talk about neutrality, I talk about divine love, I talk about surrender to the divine flow that is you, divine will. And you know, you choose that path, and during that path you will experience all emotions. But what you will be doing is you will be consciously always going through it in a way through awareness. That means when you will see that there's some patterning of the old, or there's rejection or control mechanisms inside of you that are acting at that time, and it feels like emotional, something feels very emotional, you will see that you're actually reacting to something. But then we always have a choice through awareness to respond to life, not just to react. So life is ours to create it, and remember, you can't govern another's path. You can't tell them, you know, do more this, have more fun, you know, try this, try that. We can just share our own path of illumination. We gotta live it, we gotta be aligned with it, otherwise others will feel it, they'll know it's fake, so they'll say, well, I'm not going to do this if you're not really standing behind that. So it's really important that we're in alignment with that, with our own self. And you know, it's okay to, let's say you have a habit of maybe at times, you know, you eat too much. You say, well, it's light food, but still maybe I tend to overdo it. Whenever we do that, it's important that we don't judge ourselves. We're conscious of it. We can engage in that pleasing ourselves in a certain way if we feel something needs to be expressed. But then we also need to be aware why we're doing this. So you see, a path of light is a path of awareness. We do something, we're aware of our human nature, we're aware how to do the merge through awareness as well. And when I talk about this merge, let me give you my own example. As you know, I loved sharing about awareness, illumination, wisdom, divine truth, principles of creation. But at the same time, I also have a human aspect of me, which is very, you know, it's very in the physical, it's very grounded, it's very embodied. It loves to be outdoors, I love hiking, I love discovering new trails, and I know that a part of my purpose, which is a bigger plan, you know, when my divine self and human self merge, which they already are doing, they're constantly, all the time they're doing like this, and merge, and we can never be too merged, you know, there's always a deeper merge, an even deeper sense of union as we follow our path of the soul. So when I'm walking in my own journey, I'm constantly noticing how my human self cannot deny certain things that it wants to do, like mountaineer, you know, and be very active, adventurous. You know, this is my Sagittarius nature, you know, in my rising sign, and I love this. And it's a huge part of my purpose, because I can then give that gift of adventurous sharing, and also sharing with illumination in one aspect which is completely unique for me, and I can share it with everybody. So I know that one day a part of my divine destiny is to have these sacred nature retreats. And I was talking about these gatherings before and the role that they would play for all of us, you know. And this is one example of that merge. And you know, somebody would say, well, there's no fun in that. Maybe they wouldn't perceive it as that. But there's people who would resonate with that same frequency because they're tuning into the similar level of experience, and they would also want to share that with you, because we all need companions and we all need people in our life that do resonate with that path of one. So this is what I wanted to share today. Remember, being human is in the new has nothing to do with being separate or saying this is spiritual, this is not spiritual. Being human in the new is being really just consciously aware all the time, and naturally just feeling the flow of how your life is changing, it's altering when you're naturally guided. So it cannot be forced, and you will see things are changing once you attune to a refined version of you. And nature is the place to be, because nature is where we belong. It's how it is. So take care until next time in my next video. So much love, wisdom, and power for me. Take care. Bye-bye. Nature is the place to be. Nature is where we are free. Yes, we are. Darn it. Oh, you gotta love nature. Nature loves you. You are one. You are nature. Don't forget that.